shocking story in the papers. Apparently 1 in 10 dads have serious doubts over the paternity of their children. Have you ever had any doubts about the paternity of your children, or maybe as a son and a daughter, have you always wondered whether he was indeed your dad? We'd love to hear from someone who has had a DNA test. Come on and tell me how it was, and also what the results were. Let's just talk about something different. I couldn't believe this when I saw it earlier on this morning, and maybe you can relate to this story. Apparently 1 in 10 dads from the United Kingdom have serious doubts over the paternity of their child or children. This is a staggering 1.2 million fathers worried whether their kids are actually their kids. Have you ever had doubts? I'd love to hear from someone who has had a DNA test. That's a long shot, I know, but long shots often pay dividends. 03453 009956. Come on and tell me how it was and what the results were. And also, if you can just put into words what it's like living with the uncertainty that that child may not be your child. I mean, the emotions that you must experience. Let's go to Ray Barry from Real Fathers for Justice. He's with me now, and let's get a line from him. Hi, Ray.
Good morning to you, Danny. Hi there.
Good morning to you. 1 in 10 dads aren't sure whether they're really dads or not.
Yes, it's shocking to read it in these kind of stark figures, but it's by no means a new thing. I mean, it's good when there's a study like this that highlights it, but this kind of thing has been known for quite a while. I was looking not so long back at a study that was done in 2005 by Professor Mark Bellis that discovered not just what this survey has discovered, that 8% of fathers across the country doubt it, but that in fact that 3.7% of dads who are certain the child is theirs find through some later medical intervention or accidental discovery that the child is not theirs. So even when a father has no doubt about the child being his, 3.7% of cases the child isn't his. So it's much wider than even this survey indicates.
Ray, have you spoken to anyone who's found out that they're not the kid's dad?
Yes.
Tell me how that man feels.
Well, the obvious word is devastated. At the same time, though, it sets the matter at rest to know for certain. Because we deal with probably about 20 inquiries a week from people wanting help with either problems with the child support agency or getting access to their children. And probably in about the same proportion as in this survey, around 15% of cases, the question of paternity comes up, and we guide them through. You can get it tested as part of an application to court for a contact order. You can have a court-ordered DNA test done in those proceedings. And what they really want to know is, if the child isn't mine, then I can draw a line under it. I've got certainty. The child's got certainty as they're growing up. Everybody knows where they stand. But I can't go along with the uncertainty of loving a child, but all the time thinking, is this my child or isn't it my child? Everybody needs to know. And in a strange way, when a test is done and the father finds early on that the child isn't his, and I'm talking now about finding before you've fully bonded with that child as your own, to find out then that the child isn't your own, there's a reassurance about it. The devastating thing is when it's kept a secret, and it's later on in life that the dad discovers that this child who's always thought is his isn't his. The emotions can only be imagined, really, as to how that dad and the child,
of course,
and we mustn't forget the impact on the child, because the child has grown up thinking, this is mum, this is dad, and then suddenly it isn't dad at all. Who is dad? Some bloke I've never heard of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dreadful trick to play on a child. And I mean, one can understand why a mum would lie about something like this, because of the embarrassment and all the difficulties. But it's a very short-term solution to lie about it, because that is creating problems for generations to come. You know, it's not just that child and that father, but it's a consequential thing. It has a ripple effect that carries on through the lives of many people. And it really should be stopped. And I mean, I think while one can have sympathy with a mum who lies about this, it really is far too serious to keep letting them get away with it, which is what happens at the moment. I mean, the CSA have 500 cases a year of the father who is claimed to be the father by the mother is proven by DNA testing not to be the father. So there's 500 cases a year of evidence of false claims by the mother registering with CSA. Now, it is a criminal offence to make a false declaration in a CSA claim, yet not once has any mother ever been prosecuted for that.
Ray, can I thank you very much indeed for your time. Talking about DNA, let's go now to Head of DNA at Bioclinics, Dr. Nicola McCrystal. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. I suppose there's no such typical case study of a DNA test and the story and the background behind it, Nicola. But when you do talk to people, is it normally the father who rings you or is it normally the mother?
No, it's a mixed bag, to be honest. We get contacted by the mothers and the fathers. I think to say that mothers lie knowingly about who the father of a child is actually a little naive. In many cases, when a woman finds out that she's pregnant, she assigns it to a certain person, goes through the pregnancy and into many years, truly believing that person is the father. And in many cases, they're surprised and devastated themselves when they find out that the person they have assigned to it isn't the father.
Quite often, though, Nicola, it will be the other way round, where the woman may have slept around a bit and the guy who's dutifully brought up the son for 14, 15 years, he's always had a wonder in his... he's always wondered because, you know, the kid looks nothing like him. I mean, those must be regular stories as well, where he gets in touch.
Yes, they are regular.
And does the child need to come in and have a DNA swab?
Yes, they do. We take DNA swabs from the mother, the father, and the child.
So the child will know about the uncertainty, even though it could be proven that they are indeed a family.
Yes.
Oh, no way around that. The kid's got to know, Doctor.
He does, unfortunately. I mean, in many cases, we are contacted by the child of the case who is an adult themselves who have their own suspicions due to rumours they've heard as they've grown up.
Yeah.
But luckily, many people are now more, the general public know a lot about DNA these days, and these issues are being sorted out. As you know, at an earlier age. I'm sorry, I've got a really bad echo
Doctor,
coming back at me.
Well, thank you so much. It came through loud and clear our end, Doctor, and I'm sorry about that, and I do beg your pardon, but it certainly did come through loud and clear on the radio. Thank you, Dr. Nicola McCrystal, Head of DNA at Bioclinics. Also talking about paternity tests as well. 1 in 10 fathers unsure whether they are indeed the genuine father to the child. And we've had some fabulous stories as well. 03453 009956. Let's go to the lines. Let's go to Mike on line 1. Good morning, Mike.
Yes, good morning, Danny.
Good morning, and thanks for picking up the phone. We've been talking about this story, 1 in 10 dads doubtful of paternity. What would you like to say on that?
Well, I lead the political party Justice for Men and Boys, and our candidate Ray Barry is going to be standing in Wolverhampton South West at 2015. But we're calling in our manifesto for mandatory paternity testing at birth. It's the only way that we're going to find out what the actual rate of this paternity fraud is, and it's an appalling assault on the interests of men. It's really quite. It's just inexcusable. Even attempted paternity fraud has been a criminal offence in the UK for a great many years. Not one woman has ever been convicted of it. But I'd also like to talk, Danny, if I may, about the far more common form of paternity fraud, which is where women deliberately frustrate contraceptive methods, and that's particularly not taking the contraceptive pill when they tell their partners that they are. So our proposal to deal with that in our manifesto is that no man should have financial responsibility for a child that results from a sexual relationship unless he's legally given in advance.
Mike, something in your past must have driven you to this. What's happened?
Absolutely not. I think it's appalling that paternity fraud, Danny, leads to men emotionally and financially supporting children for 20 years or more. We wouldn't expect women to we wouldn't require women to do such a thing. Why is it that why is it that men are, just so worthless that they have to suffer these things?
Well, Mike, people would... You said it's an appalling assault at the start of our chat, but, genuine, loving couples would find that an appalling assault for them to have a DNA test just to satisfy your manifesto. They have no doubts whatsoever, but you say that every parent or every mum must have a DNA test. Well,
yes, I think they may not have any doubts, but they may be wrong. I mean, there are, by any standards, there must be millions of men, in Britain today who have raised children, have worked very hard for 20-odd years to support them, and they aren't their biological children. It is just an incredible assault.
It must destroy the man when that happens.
But surely the point would be that if we had mandatory paternity testing at birth, that wouldn't happen. Women would be responsible for their actions.
OK, Mike, you've put your point across. Thank you very much indeed for ringing the studio as well, Mike.